Hey there, and welcome. So, you've got your first big business trip coming up, right? And of course, you want to make an amazing impression. Well, we're going to take any of that anxiety you might have about speaking English and turn it into pure confidence just by mastering a few essential phrases.
Look, it is totally normal to feel a bit of pressure. I mean, you're stepping onto a bigger stage here, you're representing your company, and hey, maybe English isn't your first language. That combo? Yeah, that can be pretty nerve-wracking for just about anyone.
And you are definitely not alone in feeling that way. But think about it like this. This trip is way more than just a flight and a hotel. It's a career milestone. This is your chance to show everyone you're reliable and to really build that trust with colleagues and clients.
So, to make sure you absolutely thrive, we've put together some super simple but really powerful phrases. These are going to be your key to unlocking that confidence. Think of this as your personal roadmap. Ready? Let's start our journey. Okay, first things first. Let's just quickly talk about why this is such a big deal. A business trip isn't just about, getting from point A to point B. It's a huge investment in your personal brand.
Literally every single interaction, from the airport check-in all the way to the meeting room, is a chance for you to build trust. When you use clear, simple English, it just shows that you're prepared, you're professional, and that you're ready to take on more responsibility.
All right, picture this. You've just arrived at the airport. This is it. This is where the journey really begins, and it's where you're going to use your very first key phrases.
So you're going to walk right up to that check-in counter with confidence and say this very clearly. I'd like to check in for my flight to, and then just say your destination. Come on, let's try it together. I'd like to check in for my flight to London. See? Simple, direct, and it's exactly what they need to hear.
And here are 3 more little phrases that can solve a ton of common airport issues. Want a specific seat? Just ask. Can I have a window seat or an aisle seat? Need to know when to be at the gate? What's my boarding time? And when you get to passport control and they ask why you're visiting, the best answer is short and sweet. I'm here for a business trip.
Okay, you did it. You landed, you made it through the airport, and now you're at the hotel. A really smooth check-in can set a great tone for the whole rest of your stay. So let's make sure it's absolutely perfect.
Honestly, this is pretty much the only phrase you need to kick things off at the hotel reception. Just say, I have a reservation under the name, and then say your name nice and clear, like I have a reservation under the name Alex Johnson. Go on, give it a try with your own name.
And it's really important to use this phrase right away. Why? Because it gives the receptionist the exact information they need to find your booking super quickly. It just makes the whole thing faster and way more professional.
So, once you're checking in, these 3 questions are your new best friends. Asking, is breakfast included? Helps you sort out your morning. Can I have the Wi-Fi password? I mean, that's absolutely essential, right? And asking, could you arrange a taxi for me? Just shows that you're on top of your game, planning ahead for those meetings. All right, let's get to the main event. We're talking about the meetings and the business lunches. This is where the magic happens. This is where you build those relationships and make those super critical first impressions with clients and colleagues. So here are 2 incredibly useful phrases. When you're introducing yourself, just say, I'm here on business with, and then your company name. It gives them context right off the bat. And then when a conversation is wrapping up, a simple, it was a pleasure meeting you is the perfect professional way to end it. A business lunch really doesn't have to be stressful. If you're looking at the menu and have no idea what to get, just ask your host or the waiter, is there anything you would recommend? Easy. When you know what you want, just say it simply. I'll have the steak, please. And when it's time to leave, a polite, may I have the bill, please, is all it takes.
Okay, listen up, because this is a really important tip. Sometimes, something that's totally normal in one culture can be, completely misunderstood in another. So let's look at one super common phrase that you'll want to avoid.
Yeah, this is a big one. I know in many cultures, saying, you look tired is just a way to show you care. But in a lot of Western business settings, it can totally sound like an insult. It's almost like you're saying, wow, you look bad today. So instead, a much safer and friendlier alternative is to just ask, how's your day going? Let's be real, travel isn't always smooth sailing. Flights get canceled, bags get lost, it happens. But being able to communicate calmly when things go wrong, that is a legitimate superpower. So let's learn a few phrases for exactly those situations. So imagine this, you're standing at the gate, you look up at the screen, and the word canceled starts flashing. Your first instinct is probably to panic, right? But don't.
A calm, problem-solving mindset is everything, and having the right words can really help you get there.
This is what I call the language of problem solving. It uses something called phrasal verbs. So first, you need to figure out a solution. That just means you need to find an answer. Then you can look into other options. That's just a fancy way of saying you're going to research them. And finally, you have to deal with the new situation, which just means you're going to handle it. Wow, we've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? The airport, the hotel, meetings, even what to do when things go wrong. You've learned so much. So let's do a quick recap of all the key phrases we've talked about on our little journey. And here they are, your 15 keys to confidence. Let's run through them one last time. For the airport, you've got I'd like to check in, asking for a seat, and saying why you're there. For the hotel, you've got I have a reservation, and asking for essentials like breakfast and Wi-Fi. And for meetings and meals, you can introduce yourself, order your food with confidence, and ask for the bill politely. See? Each one is a simple little tool, but when you put them all together, you've built this amazing, powerful toolkit that has you totally prepared for your trip. Just take a second and look at what you've learned. You now have the language you need to feel confident, to be professional, and to be successful. Remember, this trip isn't a test, it's an opportunity. So really the only question left is, are you ready?